It was supposed to be the happiest moment of his life, a promise of forever whispered in the quiet of an evening sky. He held the ring in his trembling hands, his heart racing, not from fear but from the weight of what came next. On one knee, he looked up at her, the woman he had loved for years. And for a brief second, everything was perfect. Her laugh, her tears, the way she covered her face in disbelief, it was all there. She said yes, they kissed, and in that fleeting moment, the world seemed kind, almost forgiving. But what Jason could never have imagined was that within minutes, everything would change. That joy would turn to horror, and the love of his life, the woman he had just asked to spend forever with, would be ripped away from him. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Earlier that day, Jason could barely keep still. His friends noticed the way he fidgeted, the way he checked his pocket every few minutes, making sure the small velvet box was still there. He had rehearsed this moment 100 times in his head. Yet now, standing in the golden glow of the evening, his palms were slick with sweat. Emily, on the other hand, was carefree. She teased him about how nervous he looked, never suspecting why. She loved the way the air smelled that night, crisp, faint-leaf jasmine, and she kept pointing out the stars just beginning to appear. To her, it was just another evening with the man she loved. To Jason, it was the night everything would change. And as they walked together, hand in hand, he wondered if she could hear his heart pounding louder than the sound of their footsteps on the pavement. Jason's breath caught in his throat as they stopped at the quiet overlook, a place he knew she loved. The city lights shimmered beneath them, 1,000 tiny stars competing with the night sky above. He felt the weight of the moment pressing down, heavy but beautiful. His hand slipped into his pocket, fingers brushing the velvet box. "Emily," he whispered, his voice unsteady. She turned, curious, smiling, unaware of what was about to happen, and then he dropped to one knee. For a moment she froze, her eyes wide, tears rushing before she even heard the words. He asked her to marry him. She laughed through her tears, nodding furiously, her voice breaking as she said yes. In that instant, the world seemed silent, just the two of them, hearts beating in sync. They kissed, and Jason thought to himself, this was the beginning of everything. He had no idea. But moments later, the sound of laughter gave way to something else. A noise, sharp, sudden, that didn't belong in their story. Emily's smile faltered. Jason turned, confusion in his eyes, and then it happened. A single moment stretched into eternity. Emily stumbled, her body collapsing against his. At first he thought she had tripped, but then he saw the red blooming against her dress. His mind refused to process it. "Emily," he whispered, his hands trembling as he tried to steady her. The world around him blurred into chaos, a scream, distant, his own voice calling her name. She tried to speak, her lips moving, but no words came out. Jason pressed his hands against the wound, his breaths ragged, disbelief ripping him. This wasn't possible. Minutes ago, she had said yes to forever. Now, forever was slipping away faster than he could hold on to. Jason shouted for help, his voice cracking in desperation. Strangers rushed from nearby, confused faces, panicked cries. Someone dialed 911, their words frantic, into the phone. Jason cradled Emily in his arms, rocking her, as if the motion could hold her together. "Stay with me, please," he begged. Her hand twitched weakly in his. The sound of sirens grew louder, slicing through the night air. Neighbors spilled onto the street, whispering in disbelief. A woman gasped, clutching her chest. A man shook his head, muttering, "Not here, not tonight." When paramedics arrived, Jason refused to let go at first. They had to pry Emily from his arms to get her onto the stretcher. He followed, stumbling, tears blurring his vision. As the ambulance door slammed shut, Jason caught one last glimpse of her pale face. He whispered, "I love you."
praying somehow she still heard him. The hospital waiting room was cold, sterile, indifferent to the life unraveling inside it. Jason sat hunched over, his hands stained with her blood, trembling against his knees. He replayed every second, the way she smiled when he asked, the way she fell minutes later. Nurses passed by, doctors hurried in and out, but no one would meet his eyes. Hours felt like years. At one point, Jason whispered to himself, "She's strong. She's gonna make it. She has to." But when the door finally opened, the doctor's expression said it all. Shoulders heavy, eyes downcast, a quiet sigh before the words, "I'm sorry. We did everything we could." Jason's world stopped. His chest tightened, and the sound that left his throat was raw, unrecognizable, a grief that tore the silence apart. The woman he loved, the woman he had just promised forever to, was gone.
In the months after her passing, Jason refused to let Emily's memory fade. He organized community events in her name, raising awareness about the dangers of unchecked obsession and violence. A foundation was created, one that carried Emily's name into the future she never got to see. Through it all, Jason found purpose, not in erasing his grief, but in giving it meaning. He spoke at schools, reminding others that love is not control, that obsession is not affection. And each time, he carried with him the memory of her laugh, her kindness, her light. Emily's story became more than just tragedy. It became a reminder. A reminder that even when life is cut short, love can leave behind something enduring. Her forever was stolen, but her impact would remain, reaching further than she ever could have imagined. Through Jason, she continued to live. And now, we turn to you. Before we go deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. But more than that, pause for a moment and ask yourself, if tragedy struck tonight, what would you wish you had said? Who would you wish you had held one last time? Jason never imagined that the moment he dreamed of for years would end in a nightmare. And yet, his story isn't just about loss. It's about the urgency of love, the importance of every fleeting second. Don't wait until tomorrow to say what matters, because tomorrow isn't promised. And in the end, it's not the big gestures, but the small, everyday moments that mean everything. We've walked through Jason and Emily's story, from the nervous laughter before the proposal to the joy of her yes, to the heartbreak that followed minutes later. We've seen the investigation unfold, the truth revealed, and the painful road toward healing. At every step, the timeline was clear. The proposal, the tragedy, the discovery, the months after, and the legacy left behind. Emily's life ended that night, but no part of this story pretends otherwise. There are no contradictions here, only the raw truth of what happened and the echoes it left in Jason's heart. And maybe that's the hardest part of all, that love can be real, powerful, transformative, and still it can be taken from us. But through memory, through action, through the way we choose to live in their honor, love endures. Jason lost Emily, yet Emily's light continues through him, through us, through this story.
And so, Jason's story leaves us with a haunting truth. Life can change in the space of a heartbeat. One moment joy, the next unthinkable loss. We may never control the time we're given, but we can control how we spend it and who we spend it with. So ask yourself, if tonight was your last chance, what words would you say? What love would you leave behind? If this story moved you, take a moment to reflect. And if you believe more people need to hear stories like Jason and Emily's, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss what's coming next.